Welcome to Meeples on Meeples, episode 12. I'm Adam.
Andrew.
And I'm Brian.
Before we get into our game of the week this week, we'd like to invite you to follow us over on Facebook at facebook.com/MeeplesOnMeeples and Twitter at MeeplesOnMeeple.
This week's game of the week was Betrayal at House on the Hill, a haunted house themed game where you basically all start off working on the same team. It's a cooperative game where you explore the house. You start with just this tile on the floor. Everyone starts in the entryway to the house. And then you go and you'll explore and add on these rooms, matching up doors as you walk through doors and wander around trying to find various areas of the house. You also start with an upper landing, because at some point you can go upstairs, pulled out separately, and then the basement landing here, set aside. Like I said, the other rooms get added eventually, and the house can grow fairly large. You start with a character, which comes with a matching pre-painted miniature here. And it lists your stats. You've got might, speed, sanity, and knowledge. And you'll use those basically for different roles. You might have to do a might check to not get injured or to fight, or a sanity so you don't get too scared in certain rooms as various haunts happen going from room to room. And then I guess the last major rule is when you're exploring, every time you enter a new room, if there's a symbol, you stop, that kind of ends your turn, and you draw a card from the corresponding deck. There's the Omen deck, which has a crow on it. If the room has looks like a cow's skull, I guess, you draw an item. And then they all have text that tells what happens. Or it might be a little swirly symbol, which means an event happens, like blood starts oozing through the walls, or you hear creepy moans, or typical haunted house types of things. And then eventually, at some point, more and more Omen cards are going to keep coming up. And every time an Omen card comes up, you roll 6 dice, and they have either a 1, 2, or a blank on the sides. And the goal is you have to roll a number that is lower than the number of Omen cards that have been flipped throughout the game. So the first Omen card, you roll 6 dice, you'd have to get all blanks. You have to get below a 1, because there's one Omen card.
The point is to actually roll. You want to roll higher. Right?
Yeah, you want to roll higher, but it's hard for the haunt to start, and the haunt is when the main storyline kicks in. So eventually when you have 5 or 6 Omen cards that have come up, you're a little more likely to roll a 4 or lower.
Except for last night, we had somebody that rolls terrible, and I think we had maybe 3 on the table.
Yeah,
it was a really short game.
We hit the haunt pretty early. At that point, you've got, besides your typical rule book, which is this one right here, you have a Survivor's Tome and then the Trader's Tome. The haunt will be revealed depending on what room you're in and what Omen came up. You go to this little chart, and it'll say, okay, you're doing haunt number 15. And the Trader is, and it's kind of random, the person who found the haunt, or the person with the lowest sanity right now, or something like that. So that person is the Trader, and they take the Trader's Tome, and they take this book and go in a separate room to read what they're supposed to do. Everyone else stays working on the same team, and they read the exact same scenario, but they only get their side of the information. They don't get the full story. So the Trader knows what he needs to do, or she needs to do, but not what the group out here is trying to accomplish. And we know what we need to do, but we don't know the full story about what the Trader is trying to accomplish. So there's kind of that cool, all of a sudden one of you becomes a bad guy spin, and I guess it's kind of neat because you have an idea of what they're trying to do, but you don't know how. Yeah. And so you just know that you have to get your things together real quick. And then once in a while, they don't always have a Trader. Sometimes it's everybody against the house or whatever. Yeah. But that's basically it. You're just going around exploring a haunted house as a team.
Yeah, it's fairly simple.
We'll start like we normally do, and I guess go at the components. I guess I'll kind of kick this off. One of our biggest complaints about the components, it's a fairly well-made game, good thick pieces. But you have these character cards, and if you look closely at them, each attribute has a green number. That's where your attribute starts. Where your might is a 3 with the sky at the beginning. And you're supposed to use these little black clips on the character card to keep track of where your level is as it goes up or as it goes down. The problem is these black clips don't stay in place. You let go and they just fall right off. They're not tight enough to hold onto the cardboard. And so as the game goes on, it's easy to bump the card, knock those black little things out of place, and then you lose track of where your level is for might or for sanity or what have you.
And they do slide very easily if you're lying flat.
It's literally, if you bump the table like this, if somebody's wiggles over there, it could move.
Here's how easy it slides. Like, whoa.
And these are important because this is your not only your power for fighting or doing certain roles, but it's also your health. So you can get late in the game and remember, oh, I think a 3, but I don't remember because the black little chitlet moved around.
And it's one of the other things is too that on there you could have where it goes 3, 3, 3, and then it'll jump to 5 or whatever for your attributes, and you have to build them. But if you don't remember which 3 you were on, it's kind of cheating because you could be like, oh, I was at the top one, and then the next time you're going to have 5 dice to roll instead of just 3.
Your levels don't go up 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a lot of times where they repeat, or you'll have, like I said, 3 in a row.
Yeah, but basically what happens is when you get all the way down to the skull, if you can see the skull down there, and any of your attributes, you're dead.
Yeah.
Again, you can't die till the haunt starts, though. But that's totally an issue because it's kind of important to know where you are, and that also decides how many dice you roll. So the higher your tribute, you can roll more and more dice, which makes it easier for you.
And I think we talked about when we played this, I think the first edition, the things were, was it too tight, and they were actually causing marks in the boards, and so when they made the new version, they kind of went in the opposite direction, and it makes them almost useless. I mean, we've resorted to using pens and paper or putting the attributes on our phone.
And people have said put black electrical tape inside this, or line this with Scotch tape or whatever to make it a little bit thicker. But I mean, I suppose there are workarounds, but it shouldn't be an issue. I mean, come on, that was pretty simple.
I see electrical tape actually would probably work pretty well because it's kind of a rubberized tape anyway, so it'll give you a little more grip. So if you're really that ambitious. But the problem with electrical tape is after a while, like it'll goo around the edges, so if you don't wrap it all the way around and you cut it out, it could end up leaving residue all over your board.
Yeah, that's true.
Other component-wise, I love that the cards are textured and nice, but they're a really odd size. I like to sleeve my cards and things to keep them in good condition, and they're a goofy size, you can't sleeve them.
Yeah, they're extra long.
But in the card's defense, I mean, especially this one, I mean, if you look at how much text is actually on the card...
Yeah, the card's
actually...
It's
not extremely large print. I suppose that they could fit this on a normal size card, but then it kind of cuts down on the background and the theme.
Yeah, the cards have like a story to them, actually. Each room you go in, you draw an event, it gives you kind of like a spooky story that you're supposed to be, a scenario you're trying to escape or something you're trying to do in that room.
The tiles I think they're a decent thickness. They're fairly sturdy cardboard. I always complain about this in all the reviews. I just love when games have interlocking pieces so that they wouldn't slide and come apart so easy, like just now when I bumped that. Yeah. Anything else component-wise that you guys can think of?
No, I mean, it's fairly well made. Even, actually, the box is pretty good.
Probably mention these guys.
Oh, yeah, the little, your characters that you get are well painted or pre-painted.
I don't know if I'd say they're really well painted, but just the fact that they are painted is better than most games alone.
I mean, you get pretty detailed on this one here. She's got the top of her flashlight painted. Her teddy bear has different colors on it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's pretty detailed in there.
So components are pretty good overall.
Yeah. How about strategy? I mean, anybody have any specific strategy they've gone into this game with?
My main strategy is in the beginning, try to bump up your attributes as much as possible before the haunt begins, because it's a little more tricky after that, and then sometimes things aren't actually in play where you don't get to bump up your
And there are some rooms that once it's discovered, you can go, I'm going to go to that room, because, like, for instance, here we have the library. It says once per game, if you end your turn here, gain 1 knowledge. Well, there you go. An easy way to bump up my knowledge or whatever. A lot of times when you draw the cards, something good might happen if you have a good enough roll, but if your roll is too low, something bad might happen, you might lose. So you want to find those rooms and go to them to
because again,
you're in the
level.
Yeah, those are your health, those are your power for fighting later in the game. That's what you need. So
but the trick is that try to do that before the haunt, because once the haunt begins, you don't really have time to waste your turn going to those rooms unless you absolutely need to power up for whatever the haunt is.
Yeah, like last night, for instance, when we played it, that scenario would have, if we had wasted time trying to build up our attributes, the trader at that point would have won the game in 2 rounds.
Yeah, the trader had locked out. Everything was right next to where he was. Another minor strategy is all of these character pieces. There are only 6 pre-painted guys, and it's a 6-player game, but you actually have 12 characters because they are double-sided. So it's kind of nice to have a well-rounded team. Don't have everybody strong in might or whatever. You need some people strong in knowledge, sanity, or whatever. And then choose your side carefully, too. Depending on what because they don't necessarily start with the same attributes. The same card will have different starting, like this one's speed of 4 here, or speed of 6 on the other side. That makes a big difference because speed determines how many rooms you can move at a time.
Yeah.
So choose your person.
It's something when you're kind of starting up the game, since you're all working together from the beginning, you kind of want to maybe talk that out and say, okay, this guy's got great might, why don't you take somebody's good in knowledge?
And this is all before the haunt. I mean, once the haunt begins, the whole game just flips upside down, because you can have everybody against the house, or you can have one person that actually reads different rules, and then they have different attributes automatically. And then your strategy has to be with the however many other people to...
Which I think kind of makes it hard to have a strategy in this game, because it's going to flip on you halfway through the game or two-thirds
you don't know who the trader is.
About the only strategy you can have is to try to get as much attributes as possible, just so that you're well-rounded when...
You're covered, yeah.
Yeah, so once the haunt begins, you're kind of like, alright, well, I got this and this and this.
When we played last night, I believe it was high on knowledge, because you had to be able to read the book, and it was just not. Oh, no, and then you needed a sanity roll at the very end.
Yeah.
And again, we'll try to avoid spoilers, but there are... I want to say 40-some, close to 50 haunts total, like different storylines in the game. So
theoretically, it shouldn't get boring. I mean,
we've never played two of the same, have we?
No.
Not
and it even says if you get to one, because it's again chosen by the room and the haunt you draw, so it's all kind of random because these are shuffled between every game.
Right.
But it says if you get to one you've already done, and it gives you an alternate way to decide.
Oh, okay.
What haunt to do?
I didn't know that.
So you don't repeat it. So.
Anything else on strategy then, or?
I think that pretty much
covers that. Yeah.
How about likes or dislikes? Anybody have anything?
One of the dislikes, like we already covered, was the little black pieces on the slider. That's one of the biggest issues that I've heard about. Everybody doesn't like it, but that's one of the biggest things.
Another issue that comes up a lot on Board Game Geek or on the web in general is people complained. This is the second edition. When the second edition first came out, it's been several years actually. They're still making it. The people complained that the room tiles got spongy and they warped really badly. To the point where they couldn't even stack without falling over. That has been fixed, so kind of rest assured if you buy it now, unless you have one that's been sitting on a shelf for like the past 3 years, you're getting the one that they fixed that problem. And even people who had bad ones, Wizards of the Coast, who makes this game, was pretty good. They owned up to it, and they sent those people replacement tiles if they requested them.
We recommend those little silicone packets that come in whatever, and put them in with your games. We actually have a friend that works as a tech guy, and he gets tons and tons of them. So he brings them in, because we live in a fairly humid area.
Yeah.
So, if you live in Arizona, okay, well, whatever. But we don't live there, so...
Our game's sitting in our basement. Like, last night on Earth, for instance, I have, it's like a bowl. It warps so bad.
And if you live in Florida, why do you even play board games? Really? Why even try?
One of my dislikes, and I had a kind of a hard time coming up with what the problem is, and I think I've narrowed it down. I've played as the trader all but I think 3 times we've played.
And that's saying something, because last time we were talking, we figured we're at about the 10 to 12 game mark. We played it a lot. And
I found that when I wasn't the trader last night, I just wasn't enjoying it as much. And I think the reason is unless you're the trader, I just don't see it as an exciting game. Like when I've not been the trader, it loses something for me. I just don't feel as into it. I don't feel as as much fun.
And I can't comment to that because I've never been the trader. You have, right?
We know who's the backstabber in the game apparently, because he just loves to be the trader.
But I think
I can't get enough of it.
I can see it from both sides though, but I like to kind of play the hero in a lot of games.
I like to work together. I love co-op games. So
Like last night I played the heroes every time. I've never played the zombies. Just things like that. I don't know. I kind of like to play the underdog. So but I have played the trader, and it is fun being the trader.
That's the only thing I can narrow it down to. It's like I said, I like the game, but the times when I've had the most problems with it, I think, is when I've not been the trader. It kind of seems dull to me. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but that's...
It is harder if you have the wrong people, too, because if you're not all really wanting to work together, it's not working so well, because that one person could have the card with the knowledge that you need, or the strength, or whatever, and they're just not into the game, so you're not really going to be doing very well as the heroes.
Or if the person who becomes the trader decided by the book is not as familiar with the game as other people.
Right.
That could be a bit of a problem, because then they have no clue what's going on.
Oh yeah, we had a new guy last night who hadn't played any board games at all before he came. It was kind of his first time into this, and if he'd been the trader, I don't know what he would have done.
Yeah, he kind of had that glazed over look.
He would have been lost, I think, at that point. Yeah. Any other likes or dislikes on this?
Overall, the board's good. I like that. It's the wording a little bit. Sometimes I would say actually is one thing I don't like, because there's a character that you can get. It's one of the cards, and it's a dog. But there's many other things too, where you have to literally be very meticulous and read every single word exactly as it's written, and then you have to still interpret it a little bit.
That's probably
and compared to the rule book. How's that same word used in the rule book?
That's I guess one of the other problems with this is that I found is the rules. I mean, I realize they have 40 scenarios, so they need to be kind of loose with the rules. They can't get too specific to make it all work together.
Right.
But there's times where we, like last night, I think there's probably 4 or 5 times where we stopped and talked for at least 2-3 minutes trying to work through an issue because it just wasn't clear from the card or even from the rule.
For the record, 50. Somebody's going to call us out anyway, so I just looked it up. There are 50s. There we go. We know how many hunts there are.
So, I mean, I realize they have to be kind of loose with the language, but I think to some degree it's too much. Because we spent, like, that dog issue as far as what the dog, if it could pick up things, if it could trade, if it could drop things, I mean, what it could do. The problems with that would be that it just, there's too many rules, and too many rules that are vague.
Right.
So we argue about that, I think, too often, and that's kind of one of the things that brings it down, too. Because
you can grind the game. Yeah. That's exactly what I was saying.
One other thing, too, is that you're going to need a table about this size to play this game because we have it kind of compact right here, but it doesn't necessarily always end up that way because you could just...
And we don't even have 1/3 of the pieces out.
Yeah, you could have them and they can just... They literally... We had it one time where it just looked like a snake across the table.
You have a big pile of tiles when it adds up about 4 or 5 inches tall.
If you don't have a very big place to do it, or don't put anything on your table, if it's just a smaller table, 5 foot by 4 foot, you're just going to have to try and
I mean, this is a good sized table, and we've kind of been cramped at times.
Yeah. But we do also have, drinks and everything else. I mean, if you have something to set it somewhere else or on the floor or whatever, you might be okay, but still, it gets a little crowded on the table.
Alright, I guess we can probably move on to our reviews then.
Going from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is a terrible game, 5 is it's okay, you'll play it, not your favorite, 10 amazing, you should rush out and buy it.
I'm going to go with a 7. Like we said, we've played it probably 10 times. I usually have fun playing it. There's some scenarios that I just didn't enjoy as much as other ones. Other than that, all the pieces and everything, like we said, are pretty good. Interlocking would be nice, unless you're, one of those fancy people with felt table or whatever where nothing slides on you. We obviously are not.
No. If you could see this table.
Rich people on felt tables. Like characters are nice, but it's nice having that variety. Like we've never even come across having the same scenario twice to where we had to have an alternate choice of picking another one. And that's what I like about it is it's always a little bit fresh every time. I mean, it's the same game, but the board's always laid out different. The scenario's always different. I'm never playing as the same character all the time. So I do like that. And I'll give it a 7 because I don't mind playing it, but I wouldn't rush out and say, I want to play this every week.
Yeah.
So
you hit most of the main positives, I think. When I reviewed this once before, about a year ago, I had just gotten the game. It was a lot newer. So I was kind of excited for it. It was one of the earlier games that our group played, too, as a group. And also because some of the first haunts we played some really good ones. Mm-hmm. And like we've already covered, there's some hit and misses. Some of the haunts are like, kind of dull, fall flat. Some of them are really good. So since we played some of the best ones right up front, I think I rated it a 9. As the years gone on and we've played it, like we said, 10, 12 times, I've come down quite a bit. I still like it a lot. The component quality is good and everything. But I'm probably going to have to settle in right around a 7.5 at this point. There are choices, but it just seems like you never quite have enough choices. And it seems when you're first exploring the house, every time you come to, like I said, one of those rooms with the symbols on them, like right down here, that ends your turn. You have to draw a card. So I still have movement points. So there's more I want to do. It just seems like your turn is always getting cut short. Yeah. And that's kind of a disappointment. But
to kind of make us average out with Andrews, I'm going to actually go with the 6.5. I like the game. Like everybody else said, it's fun having the different scenarios and the 50 scenarios exactly. It makes for a lot of variety.
Ignore the lawnmower in the background.
The biggest problem I have with it, the two problems, is one, when I've played it, the 3 times I played it not as the trader, it loses something for me. But the other problem is just the rules. I have a problem when games make the rules so, fluid that you have to spend, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes a time each game arguing over some aspect of the rules. What does this word mean? What can this character do? And it's not clear in the rule book or on the cards you use. But again, like Andrew said, I'd love to play it. I'm just not going to be one that's going to run out and say, we need to play this, every week or every other week. I'll play it when it comes out, but I enjoyed it a lot more when we first started it, and it's kind of gone.
Oh, I definitely agree. So it's out its welcome. You don't want to play more than one game in a row.
No.
One game for game night, then bring it back maybe a month later or something, and
and
spread it out.
That might be part of the issue too. Is we played. What have we played? Like for I think 5 times in 2 months, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, we really beat a dead horse there, but
Yeah.
I mean, but we were all excited about it and really fun. And we were having a great time with it. So if you get it, just space it out, like once every 2 months, and you'll probably love it for the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's a good game.
All right.
I think we enjoyed it. Well, that's our show for this week. If you want to check us out next week, we'll be doing a review of Kill Dr. Lucky, another horror game for October, kind of keep us in that mood. So come back and check us out next week.